Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast.
So, in that term, let's switch a little NFL. Man, oh man, how exciting was that was free agency, right? So we had a couple good weeks of free agency. There's a lot of teams that lost key players. There's a lot of teams that built up and really proved themselves is how I think of it. And I'm super happy to see maybe a little bit more diversity in the league between teams that were really bad the last 3 years. They have a chance to get maybe a comeback team like New England. So we'll have to see exactly what happens. But I want to give you my winners so far. So the teams that I think that won free agency so far, right, is New England. They actually spent money. They haven't done that, I think, since like 98, I think I read, which is crazy. But, I mean, you had Tom Brady, and you had a lot of key players return, so you didn't need to. But now they are needing some players, and they bolted it up. Love it. The Arizona Cardinals, I love the signings. J.J. Watt, you got A.J. Green, who has the potential to make a comeback for himself. I felt like the Bengals organization kind of gave up on him. He gave up on the Bengals. Now he has a new start. It's a fresh start. He's on the opposite side of DeAndre Hopkins. And then you got little Kyler Murray. I love this. I think Arizona had a great offseason on that. The New York Giants. Now, let me tell you what. I didn't pick the Giants very much. I picked them a couple times during the pick'ems last year. I think that both New York teams technically did win in this free agency. They really did win out and sign players and try to help their quarterback out, sign to help their defense out, which I think is always key. Joe Judge for the Giants, though, really, I think, got some great players on his mind with his signings, and it blows my mind that it takes so long to be able to do this. But he lost Saquon early in the year. Guy still almost came away with the division. I secretly think the New York Giants win their division over Dallas and Washington. Like, Washington had a great offseason. Got Dak. Dak will be back healthy. They have a great squad still. The Giants surprised some people this year with that, and we'll have to see. But I think the most winning team that happened in free agency is Tampa Bay Bucks. They've pretty much returned everybody outside Antonio Brown, I feel like, right now. Antonio Brown's talked with the Chiefs, talked with the Seahawks. The guy could pretty much go anywhere he wants. But Tampa Bay's returned every starter. They just signed Sue, I think today or yesterday, for a 1-year deal. They're making it work. They're running it back, and I think they are honestly probably the Super Bowl favorites to win it this year over the Chiefs. And as you saw, though, on the winners that I picked out of those four, none of them were AFC. I don't think anybody dethrones the Chiefs yet. I don't think there's enough moves. New England maybe made a potential impact on their team to be able to get back to that point. I don't think they do. I don't think it's enough. You got to go through the Bills, Josh Allen in that squad, and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. That team's only going to be improved come next year, or come when the season starts. So I'm not too worried about that part. Cleveland, yeah, I think they'll be better. They got a few guys that they're looking into, but I don't know. I think it's really hard to play for the Browns still. I think it's really hard to play for the Browns. I'm not really too impressed with the AFC. So my losers, and then we always think they're losers. The Las Vegas Raiders. They lost most of their line, where Derek Carr was pretty much all day. The only reason they won certain games is because they could sit back all day. They lost some defensive guys, some weapons. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with the draft. But they got to get some protection. They're kind of in the Chiefs boat on protection, but I think they're even more, as we did sign a few linemen. The Ravens lost some key defensive guys up to New York, especially. with that Giants and the Jets. So we got to see how they replace those guys. Now they have great depth. We'll have to see what happens. They lost Mark Ingram, which isn't a big deal. They cut him early, the playoffs. So that shouldn't be a huge deal. Haven't really heard any free agent signings for the wide receiver position, which is what they really need. But their wide receivers coach left to be in Houston, and Chiefs had that same situations when he was our wide receivers coach, right? In our offense, he left, and all of a sudden our wide receivers are great. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe that helps Hollywood Brown out over there for Lamar Jackson as well. And then the Bears, Bears. Chicago. What? Andy Dalton. You offer all that for Russell Wilson, and you end up with Andy Dalton. Alex Smith is there. Matt Nagy's from Alex Smith. Go get Alex Smith. I guarantee you win some. It's a big disappointment. They did sign Damian Williams today. I'm glad to see he's been able to get a lot of carries over there with that Bears offense. Matt Nagy, I believe Matt Nagy likes him by far, and he's a great running back. I'm excited to see him come back, and he's going to get the reps. He's going to be, I think, honestly, a high-profile fantasy option this year. But Andy Dalton, come on. Disappointing. I am truly disappointed in the Bears. There's so many other quarterbacks that I probably would have gone with, and you're sticking with Andy Dalton. But hey, that's what you get part of being the losers, right? So Matt Nagy may not have his job come next year, or I guess after next year. If it goes his way, I think it's going to go, which is in the tank. So Super Bowl favorites, like I talked about, Tampa Bay, right? I believe Tampa Bay is in great stance to repeat. I think the Chiefs are a great stance to still get back to it, to where we're back to the Super Bowl. I mean, let's go 3 times in a row. We win 2, lose 1. I'd be okay with that.